Hey guys, it's Chef Michael. Welcome to the Culinary Concepts Demo Kitchen. I'm here today to take you through 4 recipes that are the Cambria signature dishes for their a la carte menu. Now pay attention because this is important stuff. You're going to need to perform these recipes in order to complete your food and beverage leadership certification program. Stay tuned and we'll get right to them. All right, we're back. And in order to do the omelet, which we're going to do first, we have to do what they call sub-recipes. There are many sub-recipes to all of the Cambria recipes that ultimately go on the menu. So what does that look like? It looks like this. This is a sub-recipe. So it's for roasted chicken. I call it blonde roasted chicken. Let's go through the technique. First, when we're doing chicken, we're going to use our yellow cutting boards. And everybody knows, the cooks, the dishwashers, the managers, and the waiters and bartenders know that the yellow cutting board is for only chicken. All right? Number 2, we wear gloves. That you have is fine. Number 3, we have 2 different knives in Cambria. We have our serrated bread knife and we have our 10-inch serrated / regular French knife. And for this, we're going to use the French knife. So now the chicken comes in and you can see it needs to be slightly trimmed to get some of the undesirable sinew and fat off the chicken. So what we're going to do is lay it out and cut that undesirable fat out. And then with that, we have a nice skinless, boneless breast. Let's do that one more time. So we take the chicken, and as you can see right here, you can see there's the cartilage right down the middle. So that's where you want to go to. You want to cut that cartilage out and get rid of that. And make sure there's no cartilage or bones. A little fat's good. It'll give a little bit of flavor. So with that, that is again your skinless chicken. We're going to add it there and we're going to season it up. As I'm reading here on the recipe, we want to season the chicken now. So let's get to the seasoning. Right here we have our 12 breasts. You can also do 15. And it's up to you, but 12 or 15 works. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a good amount of salt, good pinch, and a good amount of pepper. What does that look like? Looks like that. Nicely seasoned salt and pepper, couple pinches. Then we're going to take the recipe and we're going to add the oil. And then we're going to give it a toss with our gloves on. And we're going to toss salt and pepper with the chicken until it looks like this. Next step, we're going to put it in the pan. All right, next process is we've got the chicken. It's already seasoned. We're going to lay it in our 200 pan. And a little technique here is that we're going to go with breast up, breast down, meaning thick side up, thin side down, so that they cook evenly all through this process. Okay? And we're going to have 4 across and 3 deep. Okay? That is our chicken. Okay, we keep reading on. It says once the chicken's in the 200 pan, we're going to add a little bit of water. This is what makes it blonde because it almost like poaches it. So you can see we're just going to add a little bit of water, just enough like that. So just sort of cover gently, about halfway up the chicken. Let's go to the 350-degree oven. We're going to set a timer and see how this works. All right. We're going to open the oven. Put this in, shut the oven, it's 350 degrees, and then we're going to set a timer for 15 to 20 minutes. Let's say 17 minutes, and we'll be right back. All right, the buzzer went off, the sound is good. Looks like the chicken is nice and blonde. That's what we're looking for. You can see the chicken is cooked just to the touch. We're going to take the fattest part and we're going to stick that in, and we're going to go to 135 internal temperature. Perfect. You can also check that as chicken is cooked, it's just like your finger where you push on your hand and you get a little nice bounce back. You don't want a raw peel. This chicken has been in the oven for about 15-16 minutes at 375. Perfectly blonde cooked chicken. We're going to bring this to the refrigerator and let it cool before we shred it for all the rest of the recipes. Okay guys, this is what the chicken should look like. It's nice and cool. It's nice and soft to the touch. You can see there's no caramelization. It's not overcooked. We call this blonde cooked chicken. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pull it. In this case, we're going to pull this for our omelet and also for our chicken Caesar salad. And you can see that we're pulling it in nice, big, shredded, beautiful, blonde cooked chicken pieces. So again, you take the chicken and you just pull it in pieces. I don't want to chop this by knife and get square cuts. I want this to look like it was just literally pulled off the bone. I love this chicken. You will love this chicken. It is good for lots of things. Beautiful, pulled, blonde chicken. Okay, we're back with our second of our sub recipes, and this is the sauteed sliced mushrooms. This is for the omelet, the egg white omelet, which has the mushrooms in it. So let's get right to it. First thing about mushrooms is we don't want to wash them. We just want to keep them the way they come from the grocer. If you wash them, they discolor and get very soggy. Number two, it's all about the knife and the technique in which you slice mushrooms. It's kind of a rhythm. Once you get the beat, you're right on the rhythm. You always are wearing gloves while you're doing that. And I use the French knife, and I try to utilize the back side of this knife. And how you do that is you grab it. As you can see, I have part of the handle and the blade in my hand, and I am not taking the knife and putting my finger on the blade, and I am not doing the rocking motion. Okay, we're going to do the slicing motion. Let's get to it. So what you do is you take your mushroom, and I always explain this as like a little crab, right? Goes on top of the mushroom. You have your knife in your hand, and every time that you do the slicing, this knife literally hits your finger, and you can see there's a little V in the bottom there. So let's get to it. Boom, there's your mushroom. You kind of have to keep this rocking motion going. So for me, I start tapping the knife and just move it right through the mushroom, okay? Start tapping the knife and moving it through the mushroom. And you have them already piled up on the side like this, so you can roll right through the mushrooms. Okay, sometimes you got to go up to the tip of the knife. It also works on smaller mushrooms, or you can go back to the back of the knife, whatever you feel comfortable with. So once you have your mushrooms all sliced up, we're going to put them in the pan. Okay, we're back. All the mushrooms are sliced for our recipe, and as we read through our recipe, it says get a hot pan ready to go, and we are going to add oil, then the mushrooms, and we're going to toss, and I'll talk to you about how to make these nice and blonde. So how do we know we have a hot pan? We put our hand in there and kind of feel the heat. One thing you never want to do is put a pan on and put oil in it, because if you're running around or somebody's running around, and even at home, somebody comes and they hit that pan and all the oil goes everywhere and it starts a fire. So you don't want to put oil in the pan until we're going to cook the mushrooms. So let's get doing it. All right, pan is nice and hot. We're going to add the oil right now so that the mushrooms don't stick. I think it's a 1/4 cup of oil is what it says on the recipe. And then we're going to take the mushrooms, put them in the pan, and you can hear them cooking. Give it a shake. All the mushrooms will start to absorb the oil. It's okay. You're cooking. We're going to give a little bit more oil. Okay? Then we're going to add a little salt and pepper. Never dump pepper into anything. Always feel the salt and the pepper in your fingers. So when you put salt in, you can see that I'm crushing it through my fingers. And the same thing with the pepper. We use ground pepper, but if you want to use a pepper mill, you can. So there you go. I have salt and pepper, and you can hear them starting to cook. All right. Number two, we're going to go over here, and we're going to add lemon juice. This is what keeps our mushrooms nice and white. So we're going to take the lemon juice through a strainer, and we're going to strain so that we catch all the seeds. Okay. You got the juice of 2 lemons through our strainer. And this is a standard tool that we have at Cambria, our little strainers. We juice those out. I like to toss one in there because I'm cooking. Okay? And then we give it a flip. How do we do that? We put the mushrooms down on the end and we give it a flip to you. Flip to you. Let them cook, let them cook, let them cook, let them cook. Let them cook. Now it says add a little water or stock. All I want to do is moisten them. So I'm going to add a little bit of water. This is our H2O that we keep on the line anyway. So we're going to add a little bit of water, mix this with the lemon juice, give it another couple of tosses, and we'll go from there. Let's let this cook. Hey, for those of you who don't feel like you can saute the mushrooms in the pan, the same task can be accomplished by using a rubber spatula. So don't be afraid. Keep mixing them until they're nice and blonde. All right, check this out. There's enough water that's come out of the mushrooms. You can smell the lemon, the water. You can even smell the salt and pepper. They're beautifully seasoned, and we have what we call nice blonde sauteed mushrooms, okay? So now that they look like this, we're going to put them in the pan and go put them in the refrigerator. So all you're going to do is take your 200 pan, put your mushrooms in there, shake them all about. I'm going to put them in the refrigerator, and we'll come back and we'll have our sliced mushrooms ready for the omelet. Okay guys, we're in sub recipe number 3 for the omelet, which is our blanched spinach. That's right, blanch and shock. Blanch and shock is a technique. That means that we're going to cook the spinach in super hot boiling water with a little bit of salt to lock in the chlorophyll and break down the leaves. Then we're going to shock it in cold water until it's back to cold, and then we'll retain it for our prep for our counter. So let's get rolling. So what we have here is we have a 16 quart pot, and it's got some boiling water in there, nice and hot. We're going to add what it says, tablespoon of salt, a good pinch of salt, and then we're going to take our spinach, and as this is boiling nice and hot, we're going to put the bag of spinach right in there, and you can see it's going to go down. Now, with a towel in your hand and a spoon in your hand, as it says on the recipe, you're going to get down in there, and you're going to see that the spinach just starts to wilt, and it literally wilts down to nothing. Okay? You see how that looks? Keep it going. It only takes just, what did that take? 20 seconds? 30 seconds? Not even. So we're at about 20, 30 seconds. Spinach is blanched. A little chef's trick. You can grab it here. You can use the spoon, or you can use the towel. I'm going to use the spoon. Turn it upside down here, and we're going to go into the sink, and we're going to drain it into our perforated pan. Once this is drained, it is blanched, we are going to shock it. All right, our spinach is in the sink, and it's been drained of all the hot water. That is blanching, and this is shocking. Look at that. We have this nice system for you, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take your hand, and you can really feel the little pockets of hot spinach, and you want to break that up, and that stops the cooking process of the spinach. How long you keep it in here? Just that long, about 10 seconds, 20 seconds, just enough to get it cool. Then let it drain like that. You can let it sit in the sink, or you can just kilter it right here on the pan and let it sit there for maybe a minute or two before we go to the next process. Okay, we've got our spinach, and it's been blanched and shocked. And as you can see in the sub recipe, it gives you the whole technique there. So check out your sub recipe if you're not familiar with that. It gives you all the technique. So now once this is blanched and shocked, see all the water that's going to come out of this? All right, so continue to squeeze the water from the spinach in the pan until you can get all the water as best as possible out of the spinach. And take it on your cutting board, and look, we have one big block of spinach. And then all you're going to do, again, holding the knife in your hand, you're going to rough chop this. You're just going to kind of go through. You see how I'm pushing through the spinach? Just rough chopping it about a quarter, half-inch each. When that's done, you can put all your prep spinach, blanched spinach, in a 6 pan ready to go in the refrigerator. And that right there is blanched and chopped spinach. Okay guys, we're back at the sauteed mushrooms. They are all cooled now. They look fantastic. And I'm going back to the recipe, which says on the last line we need to add parsley. So we're going to add a little bit of parsley. We're going to mix them. And then we're going to add them to our 6th pan and get it ready to go on the line. Oh, this looks fantastic. You can smell the lemon in them. And they are ready to go. Right there, we have our mushrooms with parsley ready for our omelet. Okay guys, we're at one of our sub recipes, and in fact, this is a garnish that is company-wide, that is on many recipes, so great for you to learn. So here's our video on what I call sushi cut scallions. So we take our scallions, and one of the reasons we use scallions, is they're not that expensive, and I think they give a nice, fresh, crispy mouth appeal when we do them. Our object here is to get them nice and thin and have them sit in some ice water and use them as garnish. So how do we do that? We take our scallions and we trim the bottoms, okay? Then what we do is we trim the tops, and then we cut them in about nice 2-inch segments. Any of these small pieces you want to discard. Save the bottoms, because we will use those for other garnishes, for other dishes. And your goal here is to actually get you some nice 2-inch pieces of this top part of the green side of the scallion. You get nice 2-inch pieces. You can see how long it takes me to get there. Okay? All right, so I have enough. So let's put this off to the side. We'll save this for another demo. And now what you do is you take the scallions and you get them and you do about 4 in a row. Okay, and you get them stacked up. And remember, we talked about the crab, right? The crab fingers, which are going to hold that. We talked about our knife, and we talked about how we hold our knife so that we can hold the edge. And back down there, you see that little V down there in the bottom? So now we're going to take our knife and we're going to start moving it. You see how I'm slicing through this? All right, this little section, discard. This right here, whatever is stuck on the knife, gets picked up and put in the water, pushed down. You can actually put a little extra ice in there and continue on. Let's do what you're not supposed to do. So you have to practice this knife skill, okay? So what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to grab the knife from here, and I don't want this motion cutting down. What it does is it mashes the scallion. Okay, even though it looks acceptable, it's not the correct technique, and we want to teach the technique of this to our culinary staff. Okay, so again, one last time here with the sushi scallions, you take about 3 or 4 of the nice fatter leaves, you put them together. Okay, you take your knife, and you see how I'm moving through. I'm actually cutting through the scallion. And I get what comes off the knife. Any of these little scraps you save, you could put that in your stock, you know. And then you take these nice sushi cut scallion, put them in water. And that is how you have your sushi scallions. Okay guys, we're back. We just went through all the sub recipes, and all the prep food is in front of you on the line, like it would be in the restaurant. So now you have to complete this food and beverage leadership certification program. You have to make an egg white omelet. Here is the recipe, and it gives you the procedure. Or if you're already done with the program and you want to have the cooks or any of the new cooks follow along, this is how we do it. So stay with me. This is short order cooking at its finest. So we have our ingredients from the refrigerator. We have the blanched spinach, the sauteed mushrooms, and the blonde roasted chicken. Come around and check this out on the griddle. We're going to heat this on the griddle while we start a few other things, okay? So first we have our hot griddle, and what we do is we squirt some oil on there, and we want to hear that. I love that chirping. Okay, we're going to get the oil and the chicken and the mushrooms cooking on the griddle and get them ready to go. Okay, you can see that it's not going to take very long, and not only that, you can put a little bit of extra and splash it with a little bit of water. You can see how that just steams up. You also have a lid where you can contain that steam. We're going to come back to this. Okay, we've got the chicken on the griddle. While we're doing that, we need to do a bunch of things in sequence here to actually get this omelet rolling. One is we put about 2 ounces of salsa right out of the refrigerator, and we're going to turn that on sort of medium high. Why? Because you can see the salsa always leaches a little bit of water, and this is going to be the sauce for our omelet. So we want that to kind of boil, and that water will just release, and it will get us nice and thick and have a nice little sauce going. Okay? While we're doing that, we're going to roll quick here, all right? We've got 5 egg whites. We're going to put a pinch of salt, a pinch of pepper, a pinch of salt, and a pinch of parsley. Okay? When in doubt, parsley it out. All right, so we've got 5 egg whites in here. We're going to put them in a little bowl, which you have, and then we're going to go to this pan. So back over here, you can see that the liquid is starting to evaporate from this pan. So we want to turn it down as low as possible. We're actually going to even put this over on the griddle so that it will cook very, very slow. So actually, I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to take this, we're going to turn that off, and we're going to put it on the griddle and let it rest over there. The griddle is your friend. Teach that. The griddle is your friend. It'll cook nice and slow and reduce by itself. All right, we're back into the pan. We have a hot pan, okay? We're going to add our oil to the hot pan. How much? Just enough to coat the bottom. The one thing about egg whites is that it's a harder omelet to make. And what we're actually making here is a French omelet. A French omelet means it's going to be a skin filled with ingredients and rolled. An American omelet is everything tossed together, folded in half, typically has cheese in the middle. But we're making a French omelet. We're making an egg white omelet skin. Nice and healthy. Egg whites, a little salt, pepper, and parsley. Goes right into here. Okay? So now, once it's in there, you take your spatula and you could turn it up a little bit. Turn the heat up, okay? You could see how it's starting to get the skin forming. Our goal is to actually keep that scrambling. And we want to scramble, scramble, scramble. So you can see that everything fills in on each other. And you want to scramble, scramble, scramble. And then you see I'm kind of breaking it up so that the other egg whites, the liquidy egg whites, get into the other whites, into the bottom. You can see if I make a hole, then it gets filled in by the other egg whites. And then don't panic. You can just keep moving it around. All right? Now again, if you're busy and you have multiples of this, you want to turn around and put it on the griddle and let it cook too, and start another one if you're doing multiple. If not, we have this nice egg white here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to let that sit and cook just a smidgen. So now what we do is we flip the omelet. We can see that it's loose from the pan. We get it out here and we flip it over till it's nice and golden. It's just like that. It's all that flip. I didn't get it in the stove either. All right? So now you can see how that egg white is cooking from the top. All right. Look over my shoulder over here. We've got our sauce, which is reducing nicely. A lot of the liquid is out. We're going to keep it on the griddle. We're going to roll this thing coming up. Okay, we're back over at the griddle. We lift our lid up, which has got our steamed spinach and mushrooms and chicken. Oh, that looks fantastic. This is the stuffing for the French omelet. Let's go and let's roll this up, okay? All right. So we're going to take our actual egg white skin and get it off there onto the cutting board. We're going to take our mushroom, chicken, and spinach mix and put it in the center of this rolled French omelet. Okay? Then, with a little bit of a sushi screen, which you have, what we're going to do is we're going to roll this up. Okay? And we're going to roll, 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 and then you're going to make it tight. Let's take this to the plate. All right, we have this nice and rolled up. As you can see, it's a nice egg white omelet, French style. Let's go to the grill or the griddle and get our sauce. We have our reduced salsa is our sauce. We're going to put some down each side like this. And we're going to set that omelet right in the middle. Not too much, just enough. It's about 2 ounces of sauce. Okay? And then we're good. We'll discard that. We'll come back here. We have our egg white omelet. We're going to take that and put it right in the center. That looks fantastic. Hey, any of these little pieces that come out, put them in the end. You're all good there, okay? Lastly, to finish this, we're going to take our fresh guacamole, and we're going to make a nice little spoonful on top here. Okay, we're going to go spoonful of guac on top. That looks fantastic. And then we're going to go to our sushi onions. The one thing about the sushi onions I want you to know is that you have to toss them on the board to get some of that water out of them, okay? You can see the water that comes out. Then take that sushi onion, go right over the top with it. That looks fantastic. And then the last thing you're going to want to do is get your finger over the top of the EVOO bottle, extra virgin olive oil, okay? And give it a nice little sprinkle all the way through the end. And with that, we have our egg white omelet. That looks fantastic.